All right, guys, welcome to this third session. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Are you all able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes.
Okay, good. What I want you to do is, if you do not have a GitHub, I want you to go to github.com. I already have GitHub, so I'm here. Is there anybody over here who doesn't have GitHub?
No.
I don't have
Who is it?
Tanzila.
Okay, Tanzila, welcome to the session. If you do not have Tanzila, what I want you to do is go to GitHub and sign up on GitHub with your email address. Okay. Once you sign up with your email address, you should have a GitHub page like this. Apart from Tanzila, is there anybody else who doesn't have GitHub? I think everybody has it, right?
Yes, sir, we do have.
Okay, cool. So what we will do today is, let me go to my personal, let's see what organization. Okay, go to your personal repository. I'm going to my organization, but if you go to repositories, what I want you to do is create a new repository, okay? Give a repository a name. Let's call it our first repo. Okay, if you want to give a description, you can. This is repository. You have two ways. One way is you make it public. That means anybody out in the world can view your repository, especially when you want, let's say you want to create a repository and you want to show that on your resume. And anybody who comes to, anybody who reads your resume, you want them to be able to see your repository, you're going to make it public. Nobody needs any permissions or whatever to view it. If they find you by your name, Lactus Pro first repo, they will be able to view your repository. They'll be able to download your repository, so on and so forth. Okay. But if you do not want, if you want controlled access to your repository, you're going to leave it private. Most of the time when I create my repository, I keep them private. But if you're creating repositories that you want to advertise as your work on your resume, and this is another very critical piece of information that I'm giving you, whatever repositories you have that you think are not ready for the public view, make them private. Any repositories that you think are good, please put it up in public. And over the period of time, you'll come to know that good is not a subjective term. I will define what good is when we get deep into the course. Okay. For now, just imagine good is something that is presentable to the outside world. Make sense? Let's move down. We will talk about readme.md file later, but if you want to add readme, you can. You want to add a getignore file, you have multiple templates over here. If you see, like if you want a Java, you can add a Java template file, but I'm not going to add any. I'm going to say none. We'll talk about readme and getignore in a second, okay? Just remind me. You want to add a license, you can. There are several licenses over here. I never have looked at it or added license because I've worked in a product company. We do not open source our work, so I didn't add in license. You can go ahead and create a repository, okay? Create the repository. Once you create the repository, if you have not added your README file or if you're not added a gitignore, it's going to give you instructions over here, which is pretty neat. Many a times what we do is we do not read, right? The biggest problem is we do not read. So if you're making a refrigerator note for yourself, please write on it, read every day something, not Facebook, not Twitter, something, which is much more important than Facebook and Twitter. Okay, so read. Here's what it is saying. If you have done this kind of thing before, you have options over here, HTTPS, SSH. If somebody is making notes for me, and if you've made a note about readme.md and .gitignore, please also make a note of HTTPS and SSH on that. We will come back to it. Let's park that. So who can help park data for me? Tanmay, can you do it?
Yes, Samir, I can do it.
Okay, so gitignore, readme.md, HTTPS/SSH.
Okay.
okay? Or create a new repository on the command line. It is saying echo, do, git init, git add, git commit, git branch, git remote, git push. If you want to create from your repository local, we will do it this way. And we will do both, basically. We'll do this and we'll also do this, or push an existing repository from the command line. If you already have an existing repository, you can push it over here is what they're saying. Or import code from another repository. You can initialize this repository with code from Subversion Mercurial TFS. We are not going to do this because we don't use any of this. We are coming directly to the world of Git. So let's go ahead and do something really crazy over here. I'm going to go to this. I'm going to go in my sandbox. I'm going to create a date 0127, right? 2024. And I'm going to create a new folder over here and call it as first repo. At any given time, if you do not understand something, please pitch in and ask question. It's fine. If you do understand, if you think maybe you do not understand, but we can watch the recording later and get the answer, you're fine. Go to the recording later and then ping me your question. That also is fine. Okay. So now here I'm going to open up a Git bash. So for Tanzila, please watch my two recordings, the earlier recordings. We have talked about installing Git. Okay. If you do not know how to do that, reach out to me later. Okay. All right. So here we are going to do exactly what they're saying over here. Okay. I'm going to do echo, or maybe I'll just copy and paste things slowly. There's another thing you can do with Linux kind of shell is you can put this. You know what? It might get difficult for you to follow me. So I will just do straight over here, because if I do all at a time, you might not understand. So with this, what I'm doing is I'm creating a file. So I'm saying echo this text and route it, this double angle bracket is route that text to readme.txt. If I just do echo, oh shit. If I just do echo without putting the readme.md file, it'll just echo like this. You have not learned shell scripting yet, so you don't know. That's why I'm showing you this, okay? So it'll just echo. But if I write angle bracket, and there's a difference between a single angle and a double angle, you'll learn it in shell scripting. But trust me for now, if I do a readme.md, it'll create that file. If I do ls-lrt to list, that file is over here. If I do a cat means show me the content of readme.md. It'll show me that's the content. But what is the difference between a single angle bracket and a double angle bracket? It has nothing to do with Git, okay? This is shell scripting. If I do something like this, and if I put angle bracket, and if I do a cat now, you'll see that the old one, the old text is gone. Old text was first repo, right? But if I put double angle bracket over here, it appends. See that? It appends. Okay. So I'll go back with a single one first, which was this one, so that I can create it for the first time. So it creates it. Now, if I do a cat readme, it's just there, right? So create the file as fresh, and double angle bracket means append to a file that already exists. Or if it doesn't exist, please create it. Okay, the first command is run. Git init, you already know. This particular file, if I do a git status now, it will say this is not a Git repository. See, not a Git repository. So if I want to make this as a Git repository, I have to run git init without bear. Now, if I say git status, it will show me the file. This file is untracked file. Okay, that's why I'm saying git add.
Great.
Now, if I say git status, it will show me that file is staged. It is staged. Okay. Then I will do a git commit -m, first commit. I'm going quick because I have laid the foundation. You guys should understand this now.
Yes.
Before I run this new command, I want to show you something. If I do a git branch, I don't even need to do it because you can see it here. What is the name of the branch? Master. But I don't want it to be master. I want to call it main. I mean, technically it's fine. You call it master or main, but Git calls its main branch as main. So you want to rename that branch. That -m is to move branch. Whatever branch I'm currently on, move it or rename it to main. That's what it means. Okay. So if I copy this guy from here, you can save this command. It's a git command. I paste this. So you see this branch name is changed now. Okay. If I do a git remote -v, show me what are my remotes. There's no remote at the moment because I have just initialized it. Go ahead, ask the question. Anybody? Any questions?
Samir, my question is that so we're using dash -m to switch from master to main, right?
No, to rename. To rename.
Right.
So if you do a git branch, there is only main now. So -m is move, rename,
Right.
whatever it is, right? So basically I'll call it rename. So you renamed the master branch to main branch. So now you just have main branch. I did a git remote -v to see if I have any remote. I don't have. This command basically creates a remote. It says, you know what? I have a remote somewhere. I have a repository. I want to point at this repository to the remote. That's what this command is now. Sorry. Git remote add. Simple command, okay? Git remote. Earlier one was -v to show, verbose. This one is git remote add. What is the name of the remote? Origin. And where is that remote existing? At this location. What does this command really indicate you? And this is a very important aspect of learning, right? When you look at this command, you should understand that, oh, wow, this command tells me that you can have not only have one origin, but you can have more than one origins. I can add one remote called origin. I can add another one called origin mirror. I can add third one called Samir. I can add fourth one called whoever. So I can have a single repository in my local, but I can point it to multiple. If you're not following me, let's do this. You have this repository in your local. This is your local. You have just initialized it, git init. That means you're not connected to any remote yet. There is a remote over here, but you're not connected. You did a git init. Now when you do a git remote add origin and giving the location of this remote repository, you're creating a link to this remote repository, and that link in your local is called origin. That origin could be anything, actually. You can call it anything. You can call it monkey. You can call it donkey. What this indicates to you is, if there is another remote somewhere else, I can create another remote in my same repository and point it over here. I definitely cannot call it origin. I possibly can call it origin 2, let's say. And this can continue. You can have 10 different. Is there a use case for it? We will come to that use case when we talk about Git flows. Okay, there is a use case. If you want to move from, let's say when Zenmonix was acquired by FIS, we wanted to move from here to here. What did we do? We mirrored all the repositories down on this. We added the remote repository to FIS and we pushed it to FIS. Okay, these are some things that you would never ever learn in any book. But is there a practical implementation for it? Yes, there is. Do you need to know it right now? No. So, Tanmay, please park another question for me.
Okay.
Is how to mirror repositories in different origins. I don't have to teach you right now, because if I teach you right now, you're going to get confused. Okay, let's go back.
How to mirror repositories in different
Yeah, how to mirror repository in different origins.
origins.
Now, if I do a git remote -v, you see that this is the remote. And now what we're doing is git push This is the same command, okay? Hyphen setup upstream or something was there, right? If I just do git push, you'll come to know what it is. Because this repository we have added over here, but this link we have created, but this branch is not there. So we want to set up the branch, right? That's a command now you'll see. See that setup upstream? Instead of setup upstream, you can always do -u. So -u and setup upstream is the exact same command. -u is a short form of that, okay? So I'll paste this over here, press enter. And now if I go to my Git repository over here and refresh, you see this repository over here. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Good. Now let's go ahead and do one more thing. I'll create a second repository this time. I'll follow the next instruction. I'll follow this instruction. What is it saying? Push an existing repository from command line. Technically, I don't even need to do anything over here because if you had an existing repository, that means you had already done git init in your local. You had already added some files and you already have a branch. Okay. So what it is just doing is it is adding the remote, it is renaming the branch to main, and it is pushing the branch called main branch. I hope I don't have to demo this to you because it's exact this over here. Only thing what it says is you already have a repository. Make sense?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So since I don't need this repository, I want to delete it. I'll go ahead here and I will delete the repository. I have put so much protection that even for me to delete, I have to remember passwords. Good. Okay. So learn something new today? Maybe not. You've done this in the past several times. All right. Now, I want to do something here. I'm in the first repository. I want to check what configuration do I have. I've talked about this command last time, but we didn't spend a lot of time looking at it. Over here, it is sshake@gmail.com. The user that I'm using is sshake and it's Samir Ahmed Sheikh. Okay. What I want to do, just for the fun of it, is I want to change my email. I want to change it. So I'll do a git config global. Was it hyphen user.email or user.email? I don't remember. User.email. I'll say samir.sheikh@gmail.com. Okay, it's user.email, I think. Okay. Now if I say git config global list, it is samir.sheikh@gmail.com, right? This user does not have permissions to access that repository. So let's see what happens. Touch test.txt. Touch is basically create a file without any content in it. So if I do a ls-lrt, this test.txt. I'll do a git status. I'll do a git add dot git commit -m temp commit. And now I'll do git push. This is where I want some fun to begin. Okay, let's see. It didn't begin.
It actually pushed.
It actually pushed because it is using, we'll see what it is using. Technically, it should not allow me to push if it's using the new email, unless it's in the session. So let's see git log. Yeah, it actually used. I don't know why it would let me push.
Maybe we configured public key and
Because it's a public. Oh,
No, it is not. It's not a public repository. It's a private repository. And if I go to collaboration, I don't have an email called samir.sheikh. So this is a good one. Let's see. 2 commits. Oh, you know what? I don't know whether it is smart to recognize my name. I don't know. Technically, it doesn't use by name. It uses by ID. But I also want to change my name for a second to C. Okay, git config global user.name.
Maybe
Yeah.
it's on the same account, though the different.
No, I mean, unless I have configured SSH, but this one is not SSH. So let's figure it out. Let's see. Let's see if we can figure it out in a couple of minutes over here. Git status, attach test2.txt, git status. Okay. Git add dot, git commit -m, temp commit. Oh, you know what? Let me do one thing. I'm going to close this session. Just want to make sure it's not anything to do with, sometimes it just holds on. So open up a new session over here. It should not actually. It should identify the user. The user is not there and should just throw him out. Git status, git add dot. Dot is basically add everything, okay? If there were 10 files, it'll add all the 10 files. If I want to name this file, I could say git add test2.txt. I'm doing dot because there's only one file. Git commit -m, temp commit to git push. If it just accepts it, leave it on me. I will come back later on this, okay? Not so important for you right now. It's just taking it. So ignore it
Yeah,
for now.
maybe we configured the public key, that is why it is.
I don't think so. It is possible. It is possible. But as far as I know,
If we go to the SSH, we usually configure the key.
yeah,
Oh,
I have
network.
not.
Oh,
I have not configured anything. Okay.
Nothing has been configured so far, so
Yeah, I have not configured any key over here, but it is accepting it. But I want to see something here. Organization. Lectures Pro settings. There's definitely something because it's the organization one. I want to see if there is any
email.
collaboration. Member privileges. There's definitely something, but the point that I want to tell you is I'm working in an organization. Okay, I'm not working in a private repository. But if you guys are working in a private repository, and if you're not able to push, the major reason is your git config global list does not have the email address that you should be using. If you're using this email address, you should explicitly invite that user, that particular email address, to be able to collaborate in the repository and give him permissions. The permissions we have not even looked at, so we will not look at it today, but eventually we'll get to it. But for now, let me just fix my problem over here. Okay. Go back to repository. If you need to look at the commits that you've done, It's over here. You see this 3 commits, right? And this is completely wrong. All users. It's showing only one user if you see here. But it is for some reason recognizing the other commits as from me for whatever reason. I'm not sure why. It's probably it's acting intelligent, or it has kept some kind of a cookie to identify that it's coming from a machine. That's what I'm thinking. But if you even try to look at this repository right now, you would not see it. Anybody wants to try? Anybody has Git set up locally?
Samir.
Yeah. So do one thing. Do a favor for me. Try to do git clone this repository. You'll not be able to. Who's trying it?
Samir, I'm trying it. Bhargav.
Bhargav? Okay. Go ahead, try it. Let me know once you get error.
It's asking for a username.
Yeah, that'll be your GitHub username. Your GitHub username and your GitHub password. I think that's what it is. The first time when it asks for the username and password, it saves it into Windows credentials or somewhere. So next time it recognizes that's
Yeah, it is
who
showing
you are.
repository not found.
Okay, now what I want you to do is I want you to tell me your email, your ID, your GitHub ID or GitHub email address.
I will just put it in the chat, Samir. Bhargav.
Yeah, put it here. Bhargav, put it here. Don't put it in WhatsApp.
Yeah, I'm putting it here, Samir. Yeah.
So I just needed your ID. I didn't need the whole thing. So I found him here. I can add him and I can say what access does he have. He only has read access. He will not be able to write anything. So I will say read access only for now, because anyway, this is a temporary repository. Okay. So I'll say add Bhargav. Anybody else wants to play? Bhargav, go ahead and clone it again and then see. You should have got an email saying Samir is inviting you to this repository or something like that. You'll have to accept it. And only after that, you'll be able to do what you need to do.
Okay.
Everybody is following what we are trying to do, right? We are not experimenting here. I'm teaching you.
Yes, sir, we are doing.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So what I did was I created a repository. To this repository, I'm able to write. And this thing, what I was acting as if I don't know with different name, what happens is there's something called as Git credentials manager. Okay. In Windows. I don't use Windows. I use a lot of Mac. So my memory has frozen. But if you search for Git credential manager in Windows, if the first time when I authenticate to GitHub, it stores that information in the Git credential manager. Even though I'm changing my name over here, it is still taking the credentials from my credential manager. That's why it allowed me over here. So this is already done. After this, what I'm doing is I'm going to settings and I'm going to call collaborators. Collaborators is basically, you're not the only one who's going to be working in your repository, right? You want others to also be able to contribute. That's what Git is, collaboration. You remember, right? The design I had done earlier about
Yes.
collaboration.
Yes, sir.
So that's where we're connecting those dots. So Bhargav, do you have access now? I think you're still pending invite.
Yes, it's still showing me like report does not exist.
Did you get an email or not? You got an email or not?
No, I didn't get an email. Yeah, I got.
Accept it. Just accept it, and then it'll show this pending invite is gone. Okay, do it quick if you can, because then we can move forward real quick.
I'm opening it in my phone. It's asking for passkey.
Passkey is your password, Bhargav. GitHub user ID and GitHub password is what you'll have to enter, and that is yours. That's not mine.
Yes,
What
yes,
I'm
okay.
doing over here is I'm saying, Bhargav, you have this Bhargav V90V
Yeah, it's
ID.
done, Samir.
Yeah. There you go. So that's gone. So you've done it. Now, if you try to clone it, you'll be able to clone it. But if you try to make a change and push it, you'll not be able to, because you only have read access. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So there are other accesses over here. There's write access, there's maintainer access, there's admin access. There are different accesses over here. And then you can even add custom roles with GitHub Enterprise. We are not paying for this repository, so we do not have GitHub Enterprise. So we will not be able to do this. Okay. But you have other accesses. You can read through this, what you have. But what I want you to do is I want you to be able to play around with your team. Maybe people who are in this group could act as a team for you. What you could do is you could create a repository and you can invite other people to those repositories. Okay, one repository or multiple repositories. And then you can play around or act as if you are in a team. If you want to do it later during the course of action, wherein I can create a repository for you and add all of you over there so that you can collaborate, we will do it. Okay, so what I will do is I'm going to go ahead and delete this repository for now. Okay. And I'll create a new repository called DevOps Training 2024. Private. Okay. And I'm going to clone this. So let's uncover some of the parked items. Okay. What I want to do is if I set up HTTPS, right, it'll ask me for user ID and password when I clone this repository. Okay. So unless it has cached my access over here, let's go back over here, and I'll do a git clone. Oh man. So it has cached it, but if it was not cached, it would have asked me for my user ID and password. And it becomes very inconvenient when it starts asking user ID and password, especially on a non-Windows machine where it will not be cached. It will ask you for a user ID and password every single time. So what we usually do is we generate a SSH key and we set up the SSH key on the server over here. Okay. So I will set up the SSH key now. You just have to follow the steps. Okay. So what I will do is I will go here. I will go to settings. I don't think it is this settings, but let's see. Yeah, there's nothing over here. So I'll go here. I'll go here to settings. I'll go to SSH and PGP. And I'll say over here, check out our guide to connecting. So click over here and I'll do a control click so that it opens in a new tab. Control click. And over here, there should be adding new SSH key to your GitHub account. Let's do generating first. Generating a new SSH key. If I scroll down over here, right, there should be instructions. So let's pick up one of the instructions over here. So there are different, okay? There's a SSH key for ED5, ED25519. There's a RSA. If you're using a legacy system that doesn't support this, then go with RSA. So I'll go with this because I think I'm not using a legacy system. So I'll copy this guy from here and I will paste it over here. I'll change this email address to my email address, okay? And I will go here. I already have SSH key, so I want to make sure I don't overwrite my SSH keys. Okay. Let's do this SSH key gen. I want to see if there's a help available. Most of the time it's -- help. And I want to go and see, I want to give a name to my different name to my new passphrase. Okay, -f. Okay, that's what I need. So I'm going to paste what I got from here and I'll put a -f DevOps training. I'll put as one word, DevOps training 2024, something like that. Okay, I want to call it as a new name. And I avoid using hyphen. I like using this. Clear the screen. I'll paste this over here. Enter. It says enter a passphrase key. You can, but for now, I think we will not. Okay. I'll just press enter. Just press enter again. It should have generated a public and a private key over here with that name. You see this over here? So what I will do is I will copy this command from here and give it to you. Save it in your, you know how to get there, right? I mean, technically that's the reason why I say you never ever have to save anything, because I've shown you that when you go to PGP key settings and PGP key, there's an option over here. That is the option which came over here. And I went down to generate new SSH key and I got the command from there. But when I got the command, I already had ID RSA, private key and ID RSA.pub public key. I did not want to overwrite it because that's the name it would use. Because I wanted to use a new name, I just did SSH key gen -- help because I know I can give a file name, but I didn't remember what was the option. So with that, I came to know it's -f, and that's how I used -f and gave a name to the file, and I got the file generated. Okay, are you guys with me so far?
Yes.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you never ever give your private key to anyone. You always give public key. Okay. So what I will do is I will take this public key and I'll do a cat. Cat is to show the content of the file. This is the public key. I will take this public key content from here and I will go to GitHub over here and I'll say new SSH key and I'll say Dell laptop Samir. I can give any name I want. And I will paste it over here. I'll say add SSH key. This SSH key has been added now. When I go back to my repositories in organization, like this, repositories, and if I click here, and if I say clone, I can use this now to clone my repository. So I'll go back over here. Close this, go to this folder because I already have it here. Open git bash. And if I do git clone right over here, there's not here. First repo I don't need. Over here, DevOps training. Over here, I already have this DevOps training 2024. Okay. If I do git clone, and if I paste this over here, it is DevOps training 2024, right? That's the same folder name. it will not allow me to do that because that folder already exists. Okay. See that? Destination path, this already exists and is not empty directory. So that's why what I will have to do is, this is something which took me several years to know that this option is even there, okay? And you guys are lucky that you're getting to learn this right away. So you can give a new folder name over here. DevOps 2024, let's say. So what I'm saying is, I know this is the repository, but I don't want to use this folder name. I want you to use this folder name. Public key denied, could not read from the repository. Make sure you have this. Permission denied. This is what I was worried about, that this organization, does it have a SSH key of itself? Because what I've set it is for my personal repository. As far as I know, it is not over here. It is, let's see. Do you see SSH over here?
No.
Interesting. You will not face this problem because you're going to be creating repository in your personal repository, right? In your personal account. What I'm doing is I'm creating it into an organizational account. So there has to be a way for me to give SSH key for the, let's go over here. Is everybody using ChatGPT, by the way?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
If you use, then let's go to ChatGPT. Okay, we are almost at the hour, but let's see if we can put a logical stop to our session. All right, log in. Yeah, the point is, when you do this SSH key setup, you'll not get into a trouble because you're not using organization. I'm using organization and I have two organizations right now under my account. And that's what is creating confusion for him. GKV MJYA. If you can remember it. I don't remember it. I was saying loud my password and I stopped. Gosh, so. What? Yes, ChatGPT doesn't want to cooperate today.
Samir, sometimes like when the traffic is heavy, it happens. Like
Yeah.
that.
Okay, I'm going to ask ChatGPT on my laptop. Give me one, on my phone. Where are you, ChatGPT? How to set up GitHub SSH key for organization. Okay, generated SSH key, add SSH key to SSH agent.
It is showing the same steps with what we have done now, Samir. I have just saw this in ChatGPT.
Yeah, the only thing that I did different from what I usually do is I do not use ED25199 or whatever that number is. I use RSA key, but since this is more secured way, I would want to go this way, okay? But instead of us spending time over here figuring it out, if go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. No, go ahead.
Yeah. So you can always try and do RSA key if you want to, okay? All right. So let me do one more little thing over here, experiment. I'll go and create a personal repository. Over here, let's say test automation. And I'll try and clone. Yeah, even here it is not showing me the SSH. By default, it should show SSH over here if it has recognized my SSH key properly. So why has it not recognized my SSH key properly?
Why don't we go with HTTPS?
Who's asking this question?
It's me, Tanmay.
No, Tanmay, that's what the point is. HTTPS we have already used. We know it works.
Yeah, but
We wanted to show the benefits of SSH key. So this says it's never used. Read write. Let me try to do this. Okay. What I will do is I'll use my existing key. I don't want to use cat SS. So I'll use my RSA key. And set it up over here. Delete this guy for now.
Hello, I mean, Samir, it might be because like initially you modified git config username. Is it because of that?
No, it is not. It is not. This will work. I know for sure this will work. Okay. I was just trying to use this new algorithm. That algorithm doesn't seem to be working, but we'll figure it out later. But for now, let's go ahead and do the exact same thing that we were doing earlier. You see that?
Yeah.
So now this 2024 repo has been created. Okay. You can, I want to do one more thing over here. Scat .ssh. What was it called? DT .pub. I want to see if my email address. Yeah, it is there actually, but it doesn't like this for some reason. Or it could also be possible that technically any public key which is there in my .ssh folder, it should go and look up each one of them and see if that private key matches with the public key which is out in the GitHub. But it is not doing it for whatever reason, and I'm pretty sure it got to be with algorithm. So let's do one more small exercise before you guys feel that we are lost. Is we'll go over here, we'll copy this from here, and I want to create a new one with the same name. Okay, but I want to generate a RSA this time, not ED. So I'll copy this. I will paste. Sorry. Paste it over here. Oh, what happened? And now if I do a cat SSH DT dot pub. What? Why is it still? I thought I. Oh, it created it over here. Sorry, I was not in that folder. So I'm using a copy or a move command from here. Okay, move dt underscore 2004 star 2 dot ssh. Okay, so now I have this public key, which is from DT, if you notice it. What I'm going to go and do is I'll go to GitHub because I want to prove that it's got to do about the algorithm. And then we can figure out what to do with it later. Where are you? Settings over here. And SSH, delete, new SSH, Dell DT 2024, and paste, add SSH. And then I'll go back over here and remove DevOps 2024. Because it's a folder, I have to put -rf, recursively delete, and then call the clone command, and let's see if it works. It doesn't work. So what this indicates is, for some reason, it is not going and looking up all of my files in the .ssh folder. It is only looking for IDRSA, which is not a good thing. But I'm going to spend a little more time to see if that's what it is. Okay, I mean, I'm surprised GitHub is doing that. No other vendors that I've worked earlier on do this. They should technically go and look up all of the files which are there in the .ssh folder. I want to do one little thing over here. I want to see if the permission is different. No, it's a right permission. It's the right permission. Yeah, you see this in the past. I have so many different ones.
Yes.
So this is not the first time I'm doing it. I've done this in the past, but I don't know why. Many a times I've realized it. Sometimes this DT might have some very special name which we are not aware about. So I will figure it out. Okay, don't worry about this. But for now, you know that it'll work, right? If I use this IDRSA pub of mine, it does work.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, what was the other things that were parked, Tanmay? Readme.md and gitignore.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do that now. Organization, which is pro DevOps training. So when you add a readme.md file, right? MD is a markdown file. What you could do is you can search for markdown template. And if you scroll through this over here, it is talking about what is markdown, but I don't want to do this guy. I want to do this. Get started. Again. Where are you? No, that's not the one I wanted to show you guys. Okay, this is the one. Capture this in your notes somewhere. You don't have to learn about this right away, okay? There's nothing valuable you're reading over here, but when you want to create a nice markdown file, how do you write titles? How do you write? There'll also be how to create table. So table. Come on, where are you, table? Here. So how to create a table? Well, they also have given that information over here. So there's a very specific format in which you do stuff, okay? So for example, over here, if I edit this file and I add 2 hashes to this over here like this and give a space, and then you can even view over here, okay, preview. See how it shows up over here? And if I put something like this over here, this, or let's call it as 1, 2, 3, and I preview, those are bullets. Okay, this formatting, what do you put when you put bullet? What happens when you put hyphen? What happens when you want to add a code piece? Let's say. See that how it shows up?
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you know? You might ask me, how do you know this? I know it because I have read, where is that one, Vijay? I've read through this. The bullets. If you want to do code over here. Okay. So if you want to do numbering, you can do it this way. You're understanding what I'm saying, right? Not a great deal, but it is definitely important when you want to write a good documentation for your code. So if whatever this repository is doing over here, if you want to write about it, what it is doing, it's a very nice thing for you to write it in the readme.md, because GitHub or any other remote Git repository will give you option to show your documentation very clearly like this in the markdown format. So markdown is a very well-known format. Is this good enough for you guys to go and do your own research later?
Yes.
Okay, good. Now let's talk about git ignore. What is git ignore? Okay, so I will go back over here. Where are you? Here. Exit. Exit. In this one, open a new bash. Over here, if I add a new file, touch 1.txt. If I do a git status, it'll show me that file, right?
Yes.
But let's say I never ever want to allow anyone to commit anything with a .txt file. What I can do is I can create a touch. Well, let's do this. Echo .txt. There's a dot if you've noticed it. I don't know whether you can see it or not. It's a .git ignore file.
Yeah.
If I do a git status now, let's see what I've put. Okay, give me a second. Star. You see, it was showing 1.txt. I don't want it to show because I never want to allow anyone to commit 1.txt. You see that? Even though we have created 1.txt, it only shows git ignore is to be committed. I can add one more over here. I can do it from there itself. Hold on. Touch 2.txt. If I do git status, will it show me? It doesn't show me. If I do touch 3.doc,
It will.
it will show me. So now you understand what is the, so I can also do one more thing. I can have a folder over here, let's say, playground. I usually do this, okay? I will do all of my shell scripting in a playground in a given repository, and I don't want that playground to be committed. So what I do is I go in git ignore, and I add a folder called playground. So whatever I do inside this folder, there's a text file. Anything, right? I don't care. And if I try to do a git status over here, it doesn't show, you see that playground. So I can use this playground to create my shell script or whatever to play in this, but it'll never ever get committed. It's a ignore file. It's a file which says which files and folders have to be ignored. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, one thing which I would want you guys to do is GitHub git ignore
Yes.
files. Okay, you can do this. There are a lot of git ignore files over here. Okay, take a look at that. So anytime somebody asks you, hey, add a git ignore for Java or VS Code or whatever, you can come in here and see if there's anything. There's already a git ignore for Java. If they say VS Code, let's say. I thought there was something for VS Code, but, or maybe JavaScript on Node. So there's a git ignore for Node. So you can take this from here if you want to. and you can put this one for node. What all files are not supposed to be committed, what are generated files, that's what it is. Okay. I think I've already given this, right, for you. Yeah, I have given this for you. Okay, what is the other thing that was parked? Tanmay?
So
You guys-
HTTPS and SSH,
SSH
and
we
then
saw,
how
right?
to mirror repos in different
Okay,
yeah,
that one we'll have to park because it's a longer
and how to
discussion.
mirror repos different
Yeah. Yeah, that one. See, readme we saw, git
Yeah.
ignore we saw, SSH and HTTPS we
Yeah.
saw.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you also saw how to
Yeah.
collaborate and add your users, add some other friends of yours into your repository so that they can have access. We saw that today. Okay. So
Yeah.
we did a lot of work today. So we've come so we did a little bit of Git now in 2 sessions. Today we have looked at GitHub and we have looked at how to add SSH keys and HTTPS and all of those nice things, right? readme.md, git ignore, and now we have some place to play around with. Okay. So last thing that I want to do before we get off from here is I want you guys to have access to this particular repository. So give me your IDs, please. Give me your ID so that I can add you to this repository and you guys can play around here if you want to add something. And what I will do is I will want to go ahead and add a team. Team. Where are you, team? There should be a way for me to add a team. Settings, collaboration, and team. Oh, here. What the heck? Give me a nice button there. Go team. Okay, so I'm creating a team. Tell me, each one of you all, tell me the repositories that you have. Tanmay, start with you. Bhargav, which one is yours? Guys, talk.
Mm,
Can each one of you put your, okay, Ritvik has put here. Please put your, with Kushika, I think Kushi, you don't have on this email address. Is this? Do you have your ID?
That's mine, Samir. My ID would be Kushika 2021.
Okay, hold on.
That's the one.
KUSHIKA 2021. That one? Not a member of this organization. Okay, invite. Tanmay, do you have it? Is Tanmay gone?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah. Do you have your ID, please?
Yeah, sorry, I kept rejoining. So I missed. So I missed for like past 3 minutes. So
Yeah, we just need your ID, your GitHub ID, so that I can
Okay.
invite you guys. So I think Imran has jumped off and Tanzila has jumped off.
Yep.
I have pasted in the chat. Jimmy.
Okay, I have added all of you, whoever is here. You should have got there are 2 pendings, Bhargav and Tanmay, you're pending. You can, whenever you accept it, you'll be able to get in and
Sure,
know,
I'll do it right away.
clone my repository. Okay, so
Yeah.
we'll get from there, because in future when I'm wait, I have created a team, but I have not added you to the repository. So let me add that to the repository. Give me a second. what was it called? DevOps. Yeah. Okay, so now you guys should have access to these. You should be able to see this repository. Okay. Okay, so we've done quite a lot. Today is Saturday. We'll meet on Wednesday and we'll see if we can wrap up with Git. I mean, Git is not something that we can wrap up in 4 sessions. Okay, you guys must have realized it by now, but I'm giving you most of the important nuggets that will help you learn more as you move on by yourself if you need to. Okay, but as we move on and learn other things, we will come to Git over and over again because Git will be our central point. We will have to commit everything, all the work that we do. So we will move on. But what I will highly recommend you is also create a public repository for yourself. For now, you can keep it private and then you can change it to public, which you can use when you go for interviews. Okay, all the work that we're doing, we can keep it there. Okay, so have your own repositories by the side.
Sure.
Okay, all right. I'm going to stop recording over here. Oh, did I even record or no? Okay, I did.